So, folks, there was a recent ICE raid where a new factory for Hyundai was targeted. Now, what's very, very interesting about this is that this was a new factory. Hyundai has promised like billions of dollars in investment in order to build more factories here in the United States. And all of that has now kind of been put in an awkward limbo because basically ICE came in and arrested a bunch of Hyundai workers who are South Korean. And let's just take a quick look at some of the video from this. Apologize for the quality here. But they're like chaining them up. They just went to work that day. And like, well, that's just another day in America, right? Just, that's a sign of how bad things have gotten. And let's take a look. This is an excerpt from the New York Times. Let's take a look at it together, huh? The raid swept up 475 people, most of them South Korean citizens, agents said. No Hyundai employees were arrested, the carmaker said. LG Energy Solution, the battery manufacturer, said 47 of its employees were detained. A majority of the arrested South Korean workers were not direct employees of Hyundai or LG, but were subcontractors, according to industry officials familiar with the project. The LG employees arrested were helping oversee the factory's construction and had arrived in the United States with visas or under a visa waiver program, the officials said. Stephen Schrank, a special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations for Georgia, said during a news conference that some U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents were also detained in the raid and would be released. And I have to really pause to emphasize here that, as far as I know, all of these people were legally here in the United States with work visas or with, you know, acknowledgement from the U.S. government that their visa needs would be waived for the time being. And like, they also arrested, you know, people who are here legally in the United States because they are permanent residents or citizens of the United States. So almost 500 people were rounded up for no reason. And many of them may be like still detained. I know that there was word that South Korea was chartering planes to get these people back home, but like, understand that this is maybe, I mean, not even maybe, this is like the story in South Korea right now. This is like the headline news of the day in South Korea, and people in South Korea are absolutely furious with this. Like, the people are furious, the government is furious. This all occurred after like negotiating with the Trump administration in order to get all of this additional investment. And now it looks like much of that investment isn't going to happen. And I mean, like, here's an excerpt from Bloomberg here. Chosun Ilbo, the nation's most circulated newspaper, carried a photo on Saturday of detainees putting their hands up against a bus and published images from what it said were the detention facilities in Georgia, asserting they were infamously covered in mold, worse than prisons. It feels like a stab in the back, Kim Tae-young, professor and chair of the political science department of Sung-sil University in Seoul, said of the raid. Most Koreans can't help but feel infuriated, and Korean companies will inevitably be discouraged from proceeding with investment plans in the US, Kim said. And like, they're not wrong. Like, if you are not from the United States, like, don't come here right now. It's dangerous as hell. And all of this is coming right as we are talking about I mean, frankly, one of the worst legal decisions to come down the pipeline in recent years, and that's saying something. Because today, the Supreme Court batted down a well, the legal pause that was in place to prevent federal authorities and U.S. military from rounding up people based on their ethnicity. Basically, there was a lawsuit alleging that various police and officials in all levels of government had been rounding up people in Florida on the basis of their skin color, on the basis of their race. And a judge said, yeah, that's clearly happening, putting a pause on that. It was also happening in LA. And the Supreme Court today overturned that pause. It's it's shocking, right? Like, here is from the sole provisioner of the logic behind this decision, Brett Kavanaugh. Here is what he had to say about the potential misuse of this particular ruling. Moreover, as for stops of those individuals who are legally in the country, the questioning in those circumstances is typically brief, and those individuals may promptly go free after making clear to immigration officers that they are U.S. citizens or otherwise legally in the United States. And this is coming like a day or two after 500 people, all of whom are legally here in the United States, were rounded up on the basis of them being South Korean. It is fucking insane. Brett Kavanaugh is one of the dumbest motherfuckers to ever serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm too mad to enunciate correctly. These people are thugs, both wearing the uniforms as they round people up and as they wear their robes on the Supreme Court. It is infuriating. And when we talk about the need for accountability, and I point out to you guys, like, J.D. Vance is out there saying it's great that the United States is doing war crimes, blowing up civilians of a foreign nation on the open seas. And at the same time, like, the Supreme Court is embracing lawlessness like this. It is, sadly, likely going to get worse. And I mean, here's Sotomayor dissenting, or at least part of it. This court decides to take the once extraordinary step of staying the district court's order. That decision is yet another grave misuse of our emergency docket. We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent. The Fourth Amendment protects every individual's constitutional right to be free from arbitrary interference by law officers. After today, that may no longer be true for those who happen to look a certain way, speak a certain way, and appear to work a certain type of legitimate job that pays very little. Because this is an unconscionably irreconcilable with our nation's constitutional guarantees, I dissent. This is awful. Like this is some awful shit. And I suppose, luckily, one of the silver linings for this, as far as I'm aware, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't believe these overturnings of administrative stays that the Supreme Court is doing, like overturning a stay doesn't create precedent, as far as I'm aware. But the way this court is acting, that may no longer be true. A bunch of federal judges got together to issue like a complaint about the Supreme Court, and essentially saying like they're being expected to divine tea leaves to figure out what the Supreme Court is actually saying and what the precedents are, and they can't find them in a large amount of these cases. It is, we are going to need to do something drastic in order to fix the Supreme Court when the left is back in power, because this is untenable. This is lawlessness at the highest echelon of our society in a way that cannot continue. This is lawlessness that can dissolve the entirety of the rule of law. It's a really big issue. And I totally hear you, Jess, and I'm in favor of expanding the court, but I think that is only a short-term solution. Right? Like, I think that what we're looking at here is like, we need like essentially either prosecutions for some of these people who have so totally and completely betrayed the rule of law and the nation they're bound to serve, or like we need like to dissolve the institution of the Supreme Court and rebuild it anew atop our existing legal order. You know, like this is like some truly heinous shit that is being put forward, and I don't really know how we get through this without a major reformation of the Supreme Court. Yeah, with this, we're in some truly uncharted legal waters, and I mean, the blindness of the Supreme Court to the actual facts on the ground, and it doesn't really get more stark, chat, than the Supreme Court just a couple of years ago ruling that Joe Biden was overextending himself when it came to forgiving student loans, or when it comes to like admissions that like weigh different racial components for affirmative action programs. Like, oh, that's not okay under any circumstance. But apparently it's totally fine for a masked, armed government thug, government brown shirt, to see someone who looks Latino and grab them and throw them into chains. Like, that's acceptable under this court. It's acceptable to throw people into chains and rob them of every shred of their liberty because of the color of their skin. But it's not acceptable to, take skin color into account to get into a university. It is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, I mean, like, Nuremberg trials, but, like, we need, like, more effective Nuremberg trials. Like, if you actually start reading up on the Nuremberg trials, way too many people, like, got off relatively scot-free. And, like, I don't think we can do that here. What we need, and I've been saying this for a while, we need a reconstruction. We need a fucking revisit the failure of the Reconstruction, and we need to actually complete that project. We need to complete what was started under Lincoln. And I think that is like the call to action here. Like the battle cry of any left-leaning progressive, left-leaning anybody needs to be a demand for a new Reconstruction. It needs to be that we hold the people who are abusing our constitutional rights to account. It needs to be that we restore a rule of law. It needs to be that we build a more equitable society from the ashes of whatever this hell we have unleashed is. And we need to build something better than what came before. Like, full stop. That's what we need. Full stop. And I gotta be honest with you guys, if people aren't getting radicalized right now as a result of some of these Supreme Court decisions, like and the chaos that is being unleashed around us on a daily basis, I don't know what will reach them. And it's deeply frustrating, and it keeps me awake at night. Like, genuinely keeps me awake at night. I hold on to faith that we will be able to arrive at some relatively peaceful resolution to this, but it relies on each and every one of us organizing and mobilizing together to make this real, to make a victory possible. And I just want to remind y'all that No King's Day 2, or We Say No King's Day, is on October 18th. I would encourage you all to mark that on your calendars. And mobilize. Grab everyone you can and get people out to this protest. That is the next mass mobilization day, and it is on a weekend. And I think we need to see we need to see that people are angry just like us.
We don't know where eels come from.
We're getting closer every day, though, Salmon Moose. I have faith that one day we will also discover where the eels come from. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. I do appreciate it. But folks, I need you out there on No Kings. I need you out there. I need you out there going to your city council meetings. I need you guys out there going to your local Democrat meetings. I need you out there going to your local DSA meetings. I need you out there organizing in your community with whatever groups you are already affiliated with and searching out new ones to affiliate yourself with. All right? We need people out there, because they have a bunch of money and a whole lot of government force, and we need even more people than they can bring to bear. And it really is. I mean, we're up the creek, and the last time we saw a paddle was years ago. So it's time for us to start paddling or start drowning, and I, for one, would like to paddle. So, that being said, like, comment, and subscribe. It's always so weird to throw this in a segment, but remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate all of you who do. Thanks for helping make the channel bigger every day.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack,